It was the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a child was stirring. Not one. The world is ending. Everyone is sterile. There's no time for Christmas this year. That's right. It's the Christmas episode. Holiday episode. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and welcome to the Council of Zoom podcast. Today I am joined, as always, by faithful cohort Elijah Orton.
Hello.
And noted friend of the podcast, Grant Kibble.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. Whatever.
Absolutely beautiful. Unfortunately, we can't be joined by either Kieran or Robbie this time, but we're going to have to do our best without them. Yes, many podcasts would have done something cliche like Die Hard or Jingle All the Way, but we went for the best Christmas film. Is it a Christmas film?
Yes. Came out on Christmas.
It
Christmas
came out
release.
on Christmas. Christmas
it's not
release. It's
even set at around Christmas.
It's sort of about Jesus.
Yeah, it's always Christmas in England.
You could argue it's basically the Christmas story retold through modern eyes. That's for
Future
later,
eyes.
though. It's Children of Men, Alfonso Cuarón's 2006 punch to the gut of a film.
Yeah, jeez, man.
But before we get to that, what's been in the news? Elijah.
News. Quieter news week this week, thank goodness. The biggest news being that MGM is going under and they have no money left. And they are looking to sell their wares, including all of the James Bond movies and their entire historical film library.
The Disney empire grows stronger.
Hopefully it goes to anyone but Disney, man. I
What's their
don't want
big
it to go
stuff
to Disney.
besides James Bond? What's the MGM's thing? With the big boys.
I think they've been around for a really long time. They're like a golden age.
According to this, they started in 1924, so they've been around forever.
Tom and Jerry, they MGM?
They did Rocky, all the Rocky movies. What's so funny about that?
Fucking Tom and Jerry, man.
Oh, I missed that. I was reading.
Do carry on.
So they did all the Rocky movies, so they'd get whoever got it would get streaming rights to that. The Pink Panther series, and the Hobbit trilogy. Wow, some real good stuff.
No wonder they're going under.
And also some TV series. This is Stargate and Handmaid's Tale.
I've heard a lot of good things about Handmaid's Tale.
They do have umpteen and single properties that they've released over the years. Like I said, they're a golden age of cinema, film production company. So they'll have their name on everything. Yeah. It's a name that you recognize all the time.
Yep. Have either of you seen Handmaid's Tale?
No.
No, I haven't, but I did hear.
That's got some relevance to this podcast, and ain't that literally about breeding
from
and birthing and that kind of junk?
From what I've heard, that it would be quite relevant given today's focal point, but sadly not. So
alas, none of us have seen it, so we cannot comment accurately on such things.
We can make anything we want it to be.
Well, we could just make
Christmas.
bollocks that we already do. So for anybody who's seen it at home, just pretend we talk about Handmaid's Tale, and it'll be a more well-rounded and robust experience.
Pretend that everything you think about the show, we said. So that way, we don't get any emails. We agree with you on all of it.
I think that couldn't have said it better myself. What else has been happening?
Dune, Legendary, the studio behind Dune, is threatening lawsuits on HBO, or on Warner Brothers, I guess, to try to guarantee its theatrical release instead of just putting it on HBO Max.
Yeah,
so they're trying to prevent that from going on HBO Max, which is good. I like it. Keep doing it, Legendary.
Yeah, fair play to them.
Out of all of those ones that they're putting on HBO Max, I feel like Dune is the one. Dune and Godzilla vs. Kong, I feel like those should be seen on a big screen.
Yeah, that's a big screen affair. You'd think they'd have these kind of affairs in order before they promise everyone in the world you can watch this stuff for free, essentially. Well, for a subscription that you might already own. Like, you think they'd have spoken about it, and now all of a sudden the owners of Dune are like, no.
Yeah, that would require forethought.
Yeah.
Something many companies simply don't have.
I think it's less forethought and more that they just think they can get away with doing stuff like that, no problem at all.
I mean, they probably still will get away with it.
Yeah.
Because Warner Brothers is a lot bigger than Legendary is. But
still, though, Like, people are starting to realise that you can fight back if you take the time and the money, and if they've got some money. There's only so many lawyers you can hire before there's no more space in the courtroom.
And Legendary also has a large amount of stake in Godzilla vs. Kong. So
Yeah.
I hope they do the same for that as well.
Yeah, as loath as I am to ever go into the cinema, like, it, they should be coming out in the way that they're intended, you know? More just for the visual side of things.
Just, I mean, the scale of those two films is something
exactly.
that is going to be lost on smaller screens, I think.
Yeah, they both got big beasties in it.
Yeah.
Big beasties.
What'ums.
I mean, fucking what'um.
They could both have a big worm. Like,
They
from
could.
what we saw in Kong Skull Island, I mean, a big worm. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't you put it past them?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
exactly.
We had the Mothra grub in the last King Kong.
Oh,
one.
yeah.
That's a
Big
worm.
old grub.
Is a grub a
Grub.
worm?
I love a grub.
It's a grub.
Don't we
worm.
all?
Not to eat. It's not my tastes in that sense, but
I reckon
As an
I could
animal.
manage a grub. Like, they're
I
just
could
big.
I can manage a grub. It's not like I'm gonna pick a grub.
It's like an I'm a Celebrity where they get the witchetty grubs, and it's like, those things are treats. People
Grant-
like those. People
Grant
go wild
sits
for them.
down at a fancy restaurant. He says, I'll have a grub tonight.
Quite fancy some grub. Literally.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ almighty. Like,
My
moving on, keep us
my
going.
final bit of news. Only 3 things I've got here. My final bit is for you specifically, Krun. Paul
Oh.
W.S. Anderson says he won't rule out Resident Evil films returning.
But I'd heard that he was going to remake the trilogy. And no, the trilogy. God, it's not a trilogy. I wish. Like, I heard that he was going to, like, reboot it and start again. And basically just
That's
make
already
them all over
happened, isn't
again.
it? Like the cast has been released for it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought that
it's
was
got
already an entity.
what's it got? The big fella from Umbrella Academy is playing Wesker, I think. You know the guy, the gorilla boy.
Oh,
I didn't
fucking
hear
hell,
about
man.
that
He's playing
at all. Are you
Wesker, I
thinking of the
think. God
Netflix
almighty.
series?
No, I'm telling you that's it. They're remaking. I think it is. I'm fairly certain. I'm almost guaranteed. I saw that
All right,
cast.
time to shamelessly Google.
I mean,
I'm gonna
it
look
would
up
be
Resident
a
Evil remake. Talk amongst yourselves.
it would be a uniquely Paul W.S. Anderson thing to simultaneously reboot and continue his own franchise. I mean, it's not his franchise.
I don't know
but...
if it's him that's doing the new one.
Ah.
I don't know who's doing the new one.
This says
I mean-
that Johannes Roberts is doing it.
You okay?
Ah. It's a
can you see the
non-Anderson.
It's
remake.
a reboot of the Resident Evil film series, very loosely based on the video game series. Yes,
Oh, what?
correct. And
Jesus.
it's gonna star Kaya Scodelario.
I don't know
She's
who that is.
she's been in a bunch of stuff. She was in. Let's see. What would you know?
That's never a
Boy.
good sign. Not a strong opener.
No, it's not. The Maze Runner. That's about what I got for you.
Jesus Christ. Well, you know, people have got to start somewhere, and maybe for her it's going to be the remake of the Resident Evil series of films.
I
not
heard when he was
remake,
saying it. He
reboot.
says he was going on about how the first 2 games didn't get made done justice in the film, so he's going back to do it more faithful to the original stuff. And now apparently it's loose.
It's loose.
I mean, listen,
Jesus,
it's not going to
Jesus
turn out well.
Christ. No.
it's not Jason Bourne.
I believe this is the second time in 3 podcasts that we've discussed the Resident Evil films.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's only natural.
I suppose so.
What's
Good
Neil McDonough or whatever his name is? Is it McDonough? He's playing Birkin. You know the guy who's like Bison in the shitty Chun-Li movie that came out?
Yeah. I know, I
Yeah,
know the actor.
he's Birkin and like
Well, if
What's
they've
it,
got Birkin in the movie, it must be a
Yeah.
closer
Yeah.
adaptation at least.
yeah.
Oh well,
think,
let's be fair. They had they had named characters in the Paul W.S. Anderson ones as well.
Not
that doesn't...
Birkin though. That's a deeper cut.
What, are you joking, man? They had like Christ Ashford. I'm sure he was in it at some point. That was for like Resident Evil Code Veronica. That's not even
Was
a
he
main
in it?
series one.
But that had just come out at the time, hadn't it?
Maybe. What year would that have been? I think he was in like the second one or maybe the third one.
I thought
I
he was
don't
in
remember.
the first one.
He's in the
Wasn't he
first
the
one.
glasses guy?
Like the dad of the Red Queen, or whatever. He made the Red Queen or some shit. Or
Yeah.
at least the girl the Red Queen
Oh,
was
that
based
was that was much later then. That was like Resident Evil 5.
off. I have no idea.
That's
Alright,
miles
listen.
in, man. That's like
we're getting deep cuts.
we are. We're getting too deep. Once again, we've
Nobody's
gone
seen
too
all
deep
those
into...
movies.
I've seen all those movies.
I've
Don't
seen
remember
all
any of
those
them.
movies.
Nobody else has seen all those movies, all right?
I wish I could forget.
She controls crows or something at some point.
Something like that. Something
Mila
about
Jovovich
crows.
has like crow telekinesis. Crowakinesis. I don't know.
No, she
What are they
like
called?
they're getting attacked by zombie crows and she just magics them out of the sky
That's it. She doesn't control crows. She kills crows.
with her mind.
She's like a fucking living human wind turbine.
Because
just
she got
popping
mind
things lungs.
powers at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Paul
and
W.S.
clones.
Anderson. Oh, and clones. Boy, did she. Lots of them. And it's the worst. No, anyway, we're getting bizarrely off topic.
We're not talking
Yeah.
about Resident Evil this week. Not yet.
I think that's pretty much it as far as what have we been watching? What's been in the zeitgeist for you boys? What have you seen?
The Mandalorian. But
The
I think we
Mandalorian.
should do a full episode on that.
I know.
You don't want to ruin it.
I don't want to spoil anything, but I'd say it was a satisfying conclusion to otherwise competent second series.
I mean, I think the second season was better than the first.
Aye, definitely a case to be made there.
I think they're about the same. I think the second one just has more fan service. In a good way, not a bad way.
Yeah. I think they both, it's just a remarkably solid series to come out of the Star Wars universe.
Maybe Star Wars can be good.
Maybe Star Wars can be good. Maybe.
I mean, everyone knows where I stand. I love all Star Wars, even if it's bad. I don't
You're
care.
a Star Wars weeb.
It's true.
Listen, Grant, you don't want to call anybody a weeb.
Nah, you
I
got
do.
no business.
I'm not a weeb, I'm just cultured.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Very good. Very good. All right. Anything else? Anything else worth mentioning that we've been keeping our eye on?
boy, oh boy. No, not that
No.
I can
Excellent.
think of.
Brilliant.
No.
Very good. Right.
I mean, there's games, but we're not talking games, are we?
We're not talking game. Not yet, anyway. Watch
That'll
this
probably be a
space.
different podcast.
Different
Okay.
podcast, same people. But we'll get to that when it comes up. All right, so let's just shift right on into the main event then. Like, fewer hosts means shorter podcast. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I do still have a 3,000 word synopsis here.
Oh no!
So, the main meat of the show, Alfonso Cuarón's 2006 landmark fist fight in an alleyway, Children of Men. Elijah, you hadn't seen this film before. Before we go in, what did you think of it?
I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I'm not like, unlike Krun, who prefers very grim movies. I'm not a huge grim. I like them if they're good, which this one was. But I don't go out of my way to see like, oh yeah, this will just rip your soul out. I'm not. It's not my kind of thing. But this was made really well, and it didn't end on an absolute downer. So I was quite happy with that.
Oh, that's fair. It's still pretty bleak as far as the ending goes when you think about the implications nested therein. I mean, I don't want to speak about the ending yet, but
Also, I feel like it's grim, but it's not that much more grim than the world we currently live in compared to 2006.
It's true. It's a prophetic film in many ways, and I'm not going to be the type of person who goes on and be like, "Oh, that's what the country is now. That's exactly what happened. They're telling the future. This is the world we live in." But it's like, it is a pretty, it's kind of eye-opening that in 2006 a lot of the things in this film were seen as this outrageously dystopian view of the future. But I mean, even then, it wasn't really meant to be outrageously dystopian. It was always intended to be and it succeeds in being an extremely realistic look at a potential end of the world scenario.
I mean, there's still time. It's the film set in 2027.
Yeah, it's true. I know I'm not pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh
I
hell.
only look like it.
Oh, Jesus.
You carry it well.
And I mean, you have to remember that this movie was set in the era of, I don't want to get, listen, we're not going to get too political on this podcast, okay? Kieran's not here, but this film was made in the time of George W. Bush and Tony Blair, and I think that was an obvious choice that was made on the part of the writers.
I suppose that's it. It's a tragically prophetic look at what a world after that sort of thing could look like, and as it stands, it kind of does. But
Yeah.
like, Obviously, only loosely though. What about you, Grant? You went into this. You were already quite a fan of
Oh yeah,
of this film going in.
yeah. I hadn't seen it in a long time though, since I was way
likewise.
younger. So I think I probably got a bit more out of it this time, to be honest. I'm loving it. It's heavy on the anti-immigration, like in Britain. So it's even more fitting with the Brexit shit going on at the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The whole just immigrants in cages and shit. I was like, oh dear, and the ICE and stuff in America. The ICE and having all the people in cages.
Have a note that I wrote down that just at multiple points I was like, this just looks like the southern U.S. border.
Yeah. If you've seen some of those fucking border camps, which they're literally like dog kennels, it's like, yep.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it came to pass. It's another thing.
Right. It's
Absolutely.
less of a film
And
more of a tarot reading.
And not wanting to like, hopefully not spreading misinformation, but you know, there's the whole COVID apparently also leading to infertility. So.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
We got
comes.
7 years.
Here it comes. Cuarón.
There you go.
You've done it again.
Yeah. People in cages. People not having babies. Oh no.
Yeah. C'est la vie. Alright, before we go into it, a couple of things to mention. Elijah is currently sitting in a blizzard, so at any point he might just disappear and me and Grant will have to raise this baby ourselves, if you'll pardon the pun.
Yep. If my power goes out, you will not hear from me until next week.
Yeah. And second off, obviously this film does get into some pretty touchy subject matter, so please don't try and take anything that we say too seriously, because we obviously wouldn't want to be diving in on anybody suffering in real life. With that said, let's get right into it. So the film opens with a series of news headlines telling us how shit the world is, chief among which is the death of the youngest person in the world, who at age 18 was killed after rudely refusing to sign an autograph. Clive Owen pays some attention to this as he buys a coffee in a London cafe. He walks outside and we see that London is a smog-filled hellhole with tuk-tuks everywhere and filthy buses, easily the most realistic part of the film so far. He pours a little of the strong stuff into his coffee before the shopfront he just exited detonates in a flameless explosion, a puff of dirt and shrapnel. Easily the most realistic part of the film so far. Worth pausing at this point to say that that's a hell of an opener, and it really does get you primed and ready.
Made me jump.
Yeah.
Like I actually jumped in my chair.
Yeah, a couple of points in the film actually. I did jump from because it goes for the realism and it goes for it really hard. Gunshots being extremely loud, for example, because that's what it is.
And
my second note in the film is it just says this is gonna be a bummer, and so it was.
Yes.
I will say about the guy who got killed, the youngest man in the world. Mm-hmm. He spit in my face, and it's gonna happen to you as well. That's why he died.
No wonder.
Like a fan asked for an autograph and he spat in their face. Death sentence. Death sentence. Yeah. That's me. It's one thing I can't stand. You're more likely to live if you punch me. You spit in my face. Oh, I'll turn you inside out.
Oh yeah, truly. It's
like I'm pairing fucking socks, mate. Just like whoop, just turn you inside out. Thumbs on the top of your head, fingers clicks in the arse, and just turn you inside out.
It's like in Red Dead where when Arthur skins a rabbit, he just grabs it by the tail and rips its skin off. That's what Grant's gonna do to you.
Also, I was also laughing at. I wasn't really laughing, but there's a funny bit. I don't know if you guys remember. It's after the bomb goes off, so you're all kind of stunned, and a woman comes out holding their own arm.
Oh Christ!
And she's kind of looking around, but she doesn't look upset. She's not crying. She's not screaming. She's obviously stunned, which would make sense. You know,
that's what happens, man.
Yeah,
that happens.
No doubt. In a panic, I would pick my own arm up and be stunned. But it did kind of look like she was like, "Ah, for fuck's sake."
Well, I mean, in a later scene, he does express that he doesn't even know who blew the cafe up, so it must just be a run-of-the-mill thing in the world of the world of children and men.
I mean, he didn't seem all that stunned, quite frankly.
Yeah, that was a little thing that it was a wee bit.
But he did mention that it had happened before. It's like the second time and whatever. And he's like, at that point, he's like, oh.
Desensitized to.
And I bet that woman who lost her arm, it happened before, because she seemed like she was more upset. Like maybe that was the arm that was holding her fucking coffee she just paid for. She's like, oh, for fuck's sake! I mean, it's the coffee that I'm missing. I got the arm.
I can
That's
get
the third
behind
time her
that.
arm's been blown off this week.
Been there before.
Just came right off at the seam again. She's like,
the
Man.
The other day I made a coffee, filter coffee, you know, full everything, like fresh ground, like beautiful, beautiful piece of work. Went to pour the milk in it and my milk had gone off, and honestly it was like, in that moment, I must have felt the same.
Those moments. I remember coming home from work one day and it was like the day off the next day, so I thought I'd go to the shops and get myself really nice stuff to eat, and I made a full spaghetti bolagnese. Then the cat like runs under my feet and I just the whole bolagnese just slipped off the plate. I'm just standing there with a greasy plate and the cat straight in on the bolognese. I'm like, God, fuck it.
I've had like, I mean, probably 20 minutes making just the nicest egg sandwich you've ever seen. And I place it on the table and I get up and I get a water and I close the fridge and I look back and there's the dog eating it right off my plate.
Just going right for it. Alright, so now that we've equated losing various foodstuffs to surviving a terrorist attack, I think we should probably move on. So, cut to Clive Owen at work. He feigns emotional trauma at the death of the youngest man and heads home on the train. We see dystopian infomercials on the hanging screens reminding people that sheltering illegal migrants is a crime. All the while people...
And also that Britain is the best.
Oh, well, naturally. All the while people pelt the car with stones in impotent rage. The infomercials being, I think, the first real example...
Hold on there. Did you just say impotent rage?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like really angry, which is also a really good pun there.
Oh, I did! Oh, I done a pun!
Yeah, you
I didn't even mean
done
it.
Great pun, but also like their anger is like, you know. It's
No,
not
I
going
know what
anywhere.
impotent rage means. It just so happened that I didn't catch that right away, and then after you said it, it clicked.
I've done it. Well,
Hell of a
back.
pun.
that's what they call a hat. That's what...
Maybe the greatest subconscious pun of all time. I'd put it. I would put that out there. I would wager my life that no one's used impotent rage without knowing it, referring to fucking children of men.
That might be a
And
first.
that, kids, is what we in the business call a happy accident.
Also a term for children that were unexpected.
There you go. See?
Yeah.
It's all... It just
Every
keeps
child
going.
in this
He's like-
universe
he's
is
just
again.
unexpected.
keeping them coming.
Just birthing ideas.
Ah. God almighty.
My apologies.
This is what happens.
no.
The grown-ups are gone, and now we're loose. Clive arrives at his stop, walking by a pen full of detainees speaking foreign languages, and meets who else but Michael Caine, doing his best John Lennon impression, which incidentally was intentional. The director wanted him to come across like John Lennon. I don't know why,
Oh, I was thinking Willie
but
Nelson.
that's what they were going for. I mean, yeah, I get it.
He is fucking just high all
I
the
can
time.
see it. I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it too.
That's where my mind went. But who knows?
As they drive together, a bus full of more migrants passes them, and Michael Caine indicates that they're going to be taken to a prison or detainment centre or some other vague other place. Easily the most realistic part of the film so far. They arrive at Michael Caine's house in the woods, where he cares for his catatonic wife. There's a long shot where we're treated to a series of really rough Photoshop jobs of young Michael throughout the ages.
Oh,
They were stinking.
some of the worst I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
not phenomenal.
Looks like it came out of a Funhouse video. man.
Horrendous. Clive reads a pamphlet about government-issued suicide kits as Michael rolls up a spliff from the copious amount of cannabis that he grows in his greenhouse, which he laments over still being outlawed despite the aforementioned suicide kits. Clive Owen mistakes a joke for an invitation to wax lyrical about the global infertility crisis, but it's fine because the joke was really an excuse for Michael Caine to do the exact same thing, except through the medium of comedic patter. I have to say, I think...
Was that funny?
What?
What was the like? He was eating a stork. That was
Something
the
like
punchline?
that. It was a movie joke where it isn't really a joke, it's just a way for the character to, like, say things symbolically.
Like the joke is, you know, the stork's meant to bring the baby. And you know, storks, you know, traditionally they bring the babies, and they're like, "Why is there no babies? This thing's eating the fucking storks."
And yet
get
there
it
aren't
now.
any
That
babies.
is
Also-
quite
Really
funny.
funny.
I also didn't notice that was a suicide kit until right now. It's retroactively in my head. I kind of got a text at that point, and I responded to it. I thought that was a board game they were looking at. I thought that was like little
I
little
did too at
hourglasses and
first,
shit.
and
I
then
wasn't paying attention.
I realized after.
But I remember them talking about the suicide kits. He's like talking about they got more money for
Yeah,
suicide kits and
yeah.
blah blah blah.
I think
I remember
the
that.
suicide kits are an excellent bit of world building.
That is just
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah.
Retroactively.
Yeah, like this whole film, and to my mind at least, in this moment, I can't think of any other film that does better world building. Like it's just it does so much with so little. Like, and it sometimes is quite obvious. It's not as subtle as other films can be, but it's like these moments where it's giving you these obvious bits of world building tell you so much about the world, even through just like a poster or like the infomercials on the train and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but there's a point where Clive Owen's character is like in a room and all the windows and all the walls are covered up with newspaper, and it's all like different newspaper headlines, and that's all excellent world building too. I didn't get a chance to like look through all of them, but there was one that like Russia dropped a nuke on Kazakhstan or something, and like that was the first nuke that dropped. So apparently there was a nuclear war as well, which I didn't. Like it's just kind of mentioned in passing or showed in the background, which I thought was
it's
really
the kind
cool.
of film that you could look through frame by frame and learn so many things that you would never ever have realized. I have no doubt that there's probably a series of notebooks somewhere by some writer who's just completely fleshed out the entire universe that this film's set in that will just never be put to use for anything else.
Yeah, almost certainly.
What a piece of work. Sometime later, at precisely 7:59 in the morning, Clive wakes up in his London apartment, which he apparently rents in the centre of Kowloon walled city from the view outside of his window. I got a little laugh with that one, thank you. Thank you. Kowloon walled city, it's like, it was a Chinese, a city in China that was basically like, effectively one regular sized city squeezed into the size of a small town. It was in Call of Duty Black Ops 1, I believe.
Yeah, no, I know. I just didn't know. I thought it was pronounced Kowloon.
Kowloon. You didn't know what it said.
It is Kowloon, yeah.
Oh, my mistake.
I knew what you meant.
Either way, you know what I was going for.
Cut the joke.
Cheers.
He mispronounced it.
It's
Cut the joke.
now. It's over.
That's fine. This is the joke now.
Yeah, we're still going. on his way to work,
Hilarious.
Thanks.
On his way to work, he passes more cages full of alleged illegal migrants shouting out for help as the police and their dogs hem their in. I'll start that one again. On his way to work, he passes more cages full of alleged illegal migrants shouting for help as the police and their dogs hem them in. He passes a newsstand and is promptly kidnapped by a couple of dudes with pistols. I'll not bother saying easily the most realistic part of the film so far from this point, but just assume it's implied. The kidnappers bundle him into a van where we find out that one of them is Julianne Moore, who you may recognise as Dr. Hardin from Jurassic Park 2. In this film, she plays Clive Owen's ex-partner.
Oh no!
There's also, what's his name? Chiwetel Ejiofor?
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Is that it? Okay.
I don't know how it's pronounced.
That I recognised but couldn't place.
He was Mordo in the Doctor Strange movie.
I haven't
and
seen
also in many other things.
12 Years a Slave.
Alright.
What else is he in? I mean, he's in quite a few things. He's always good in them, to be fair. He's a good actor. He's a very good actor.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty solid in this as well.
Really? Jurassic Park 2? That's what you...
I mean, that is also my first thought. Whenever I see her,
I immediately that's think literally of her. The first thing I think of.
And how annoying and selfish she is in that film.
She is.
She's beyond annoying and selfish.
We can't do it again. Stop right there. We're not going into Jurassic Park 2. We've already done this.
I haven't seen it, so...
Well. There we go. That's
Stay tuned. Stay tuned for Jurassic Park 2.
I'll do it.
It'd be a good one as well. There's a lot to talk about that film. Anyway, in this film, she plays Clive Owen's ex-partner, who is now a prominent member of a terrorist cell. She's after transit papers for someone, and she reckons Clive is the guy to get them, offering him a hearty $5,000 to get them for her. He refuses, so her cronies bundle him back into the van, threatening him with death if he grasses on them, and they drop him back off somewhere in London, literally leaving him with nothing but the clothes on his back and bus fare. Which I thought was quite funny when he just chucks a bus fare at him. It's like the point's been made when you make this statement. Like, what?
But I also I think it's quite good to, it kind of grounds it a bit more realistic. Like the $5,000, you know, in every film it's like, we'll give you $50,000, give you $1 million.
Yeah.
Here's $5,000 because the world's still, it's post-apocalyptic in essence. It's not really, it's more like a fucking dystopian future, but people have still got 9 to 5. People are still going to work. You're like, $5,000 is still a lot of money to an average person just going to work. And where did he work? Like a newspaper, or was it a call center or something?
I'm not entirely sure what it was that he was doing for work. Sure. I think it must be something important.
I think it was a newspaper.
Given the company, I think you might be right about that actually.
But either way, you know, like people are still still bus drivers. You know what I mean? There's bus drivers and people running coffee shops. It's like $5,000 is still money.
I just
you don't have to have a
something.
ridiculous amount of money.
So
Yes,
later in the movie, so that guy throws him and he says bus fare, right?
Just like that.
He gives him bus fare. But then later in the movie, Clive Owen and Julianne Moore and that old lady with the dog, they're just hopping on and off buses. They're not paying. They're just jumping right on. So are the buses free or are they not free? Are they paying or do you is it free public transport?
They might have gone back to the old. So like oldie, no, I say oldie. In my youth, although I'm old, you could like hop on a bus and there was like a conductor, like a train conductor on the bus. You just jump on the bus and they would walk around and come and get a ticket off you, or you buy a ticket off them. Rather than paying to get on the bus, you just hopped on the bus, took a seat, and the guy would walk around his little ticket machine.
But then at the same time, the buses have got full on like riot protection around the windows and stuff like that. So maybe that'd be a bit of a risky job to take, being the conductor on a bus.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Who knows? There's some world building we didn't dive far enough into. The bus services.
Yeah. I want to know what the public transport's like in this horrible place.
Shit. Same as now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, actually, to be fair, I live in Edinburgh, and the Edinburgh public transport's pretty phenomenal. Top tier.
It's decent.
Yeah.
It is. It's very good. It's one moved down here to London, and it's not.
Grim. Subpar.
Yeah.
I don't have one. I live in the suburbs.
See, you need to get onto that. Get to your councillor, and they'll sort that out for you.
My who?
They definitely won't.
Your councillor.
Your councillor, your local councillor.
Like my school councillor or something?
No, your local member of parliament. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Even be?
They're like
Mayor?
Representative.
Your local representative, exactly.
There you go.
They would
County
they'll
commissioner.
Yeah, just
Right.
where's the fucking buses, mate?
You could call a taxi.
Yeah, what you mean? You can't do
get
it
an
every
Uber.
time. You gotta get buses.
That's true. Yeah, that's the point. Anyway,
America loves their Ubers.
I mean that's what
Take
buses
care.
are there for. They're just there as an alternative to the taxi. I'm not getting into it. He makes his way to where he needs to be through the London streets. We see more signs demanding that illegal immigrants must be reported, and a group of people preaching repentance in a square. Another great bit of world building there.
Oh
Clive
yeah,
Owen-
they were talking about. Sorry, jumping back in.
That's right.
The him and Michael Caine, Willie Nelson, were talking about like how there's the repenters and the what were the other ones? They were like two different like religious factions, and one like knelt down for a year for repentance, and the other ones would like flagellate. And it was just really good, just offhand remarks that helped build the world that I thought were really really good.
Yeah, just implies the existence of this world that's larger than the story that we see in front of us. Clive arrives at an important looking government building and puts his wallet, keys, cigarettes and half a bottle of whiskey through the metal detector. He meets up with the bad guy from Wonder Woman 2017, herein referred to as Nigel, who seems to be some kind of simpering aristocrat, and they have dinner in front of a Pink Floyd album cover, which again was intentional. There's a big floating pig in the background.
Yeah. I also did notice that. 2 films in a row we have the same actor. I was like, oh shit, it's fucking.
Yeah, I noticed that it was Danny Houston. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, he's here. He's carrying over, same character.
It's back again. That's the Council of Zoom podcast expanded universe right there.
You can
link
only
the next
watch
film.
movies from now on with Danny Houston in them. Wolverine
That whole
Origins
bit as
next.
well. They have like people walking around like zebras and camels and shit. They got a bit Hunger Games kind of like inner circle kind of thing going on.
It's quite surreal.
Yeah, that must have been like the rich area.
Yeah, that was
of
that
London.
was because they had like big old gates, and stuff. They went into this snazzy part.
It's sort of like the radicalization of the rich. Like the
Yeah.
Hunger Games comparison is quite apt, I suppose, where it's like there's all this abject, like, I don't even know what to call it, just disarray everywhere. So that forces these rich people to like,
Pull up.
as some sort of like, I don't know. I've forgotten the word. Doesn't matter.
Nice.
I wasn't going anywhere with that.
Do you know who's not rich anymore? The people who make contraceptives, birth control.
That's true. They're completely out of
What
business.
happened? That's a non-existent industry anymore.
Planned Parenthood
Maybe-
tanked.
Flavored condoms.
But for what?
Just get a fruit roll up and wrap it
Yeah,
around.
Oh Jesus Christ!
just give someone a bit of chewing gum after. There you go. Some hubba bubba. There you go. Suck on that.
Apparently, it was in the original. I don't know if it was based off a book or if it was just in the original. It was based off a book. In the original book, it was just men don't produce sperm anymore. But they changed it to women being
What, just like-
infertile.
Puff of dust or something.
Now that's the question that the bit that I read didn't rectify. But I don't think that we should really get too deep into the mechanics of men not producing
Probably
sperm
not.
anymore. It's just a
Probably
gush
not.
of water.
Aye, well, they probably still produce the semen, just no actual sperm cells. They still have the goop, but none
It's
of
like
the
getting a
goods.
vasectomy.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
I would like to touch, because him going into this building, it's the start of a running gag where he just can't smoke in a lot of
Aye.
places. There's a couple running gags throughout this
Still.
film
Yeah.
that just
you
are...
can't really smoke very much places here now.
It's a nice, like, reprieve of the overall just depressing nature of this film, as he can't finish a cigarette and he never has good shoes.
Yeah.
Just
He
throughout the whole
never has good fucking issues. It's so true.
Those are the kind of things that kind of flesh it
Yeah.
out for me. Like, this is one of my favourite films, and that's why, but it just has these, like, little, like, I don't want to say Edgar Wright-esque, but, like, it's that sort of blending of the daft and the serious that he does particularly well, except this is like the inverse of Edgar Wright film, where it's more
Right.
serious and he just sprinkles in little bits
Yeah.
Of humor.
Yeah.
of
And
surreal
the
humour.
other Christmas movie we could have done, Die Hard, he also doesn't have shoes when he needs them.
That's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Maybe it's a reference to Die Hard. It did come out on December 25th, 2006 in the UK. Maybe in the US. I can't verify that. I can't remember. I didn't check.
I'll check.
Thank you.
Talk amongst
Anyway.
yourselves.
I'll carry on. Clive claims quite truthfully that he met a girl and he needs transit papers to get to the coast. Nigel agrees, and Clive Owen lightly chastises him for the raw materialism he has on display in his home. Clive later meets up with one of Julianne Moore's associates in a rough-looking bar to report his success, before heading to a Greyhound track for a flutter, because even at the end of the world, people have their vices. A lady asks him if he's seen a dog, which is a code for follow me and get on the next bus. Clive catches the bus and meets up with Julianne Moore on the upper deck. They have a pretty heated discussion about suffering and loss before heading off over a railway overpass. Clive asks what will happen to them after all this is over, and Moore cryptically kisses him on the mouth before they meet up with more of her scruffy associates in an affordable family car and drive off into the countryside.
Just to come in, you're wrong, Krun, first of all.
Right.
Came out on the 22nd of September in the United Kingdom. It
Shit.
came out on Christmas Day in the United States.
Thank fuck for that. I thought we'd
it came on
completely
Christmas
fucked the
somewhere.
dog.
No,
Like,
no, it did come out. It came out on Christmas in the US.
thank God for that. You had me. Jesus, open with that one next time. You had me panicking.
Nah.
Nah, it's fine. I would
If
say that-
it turned out we were wrong, I would have simply lied.
There we go. That's why you're here. To lie. On my behalf.
No, on behalf of the podcast.
On behalf of the podcast. That's right. That's right. Of course.
Oh,
One thing. That's one little bit where they have this heated argument on the top bit of the bus, and it's like, well, the argument is pretty solidly written and put together. It's a totally believable thing for two people with a past that haven't connected in a while, like that, for it to kick off like that. I do think it kind of beat you over the head with the fact that they once had a child together. Like, they didn't outright state it, but it was kind of beneath this film how obvious they made it.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it might be for you because you've seen it before.
No, I remember
But
thinking
for
that the
me,
first time round.
I didn't. I have no problems with this movie. I have no complaints about this movie.
Like I say, it was quite a light criticism. If I had to search for a criticism, it would be that. It would
if
just
I
be
had to
that.
search for one, it would be the awful photoshops of Michael Caine.
Listen, that's less of a criticism and more of a glowing recommendation, if you ask me.
Oh,
Oh,
pull my
So-
finger.
and we'll get to that. Oh no, we've got to that. That happened
passed
earlier.
him.
Yeah,
He was in
true.
the car.
Pull my finger. And he has a big fat.
My finger.
does a big fart.
What, what a guy.
More movies need someone doing a big fart.
Oh no. In the car, Clive has a nap for a bit, but his snoring proves to be too much for his companions and they wake him up. The younger woman gives him a bit of grief and the older one peels an orange. Clive and Julianne do a bit where they spit a ping pong ball between each other's mouths. Then a flaming burnt out car blocks their path and it all goes to shit. A huge gang of wild men all come spilling out of the woods, tossing stones and molotovs at them and chasing them with sticks. Two guys on a motorbike show up and just ventilate Julianne Moore, one tapping her right through the throat. But before they can get what they want from the rest of them, Clive boots the door open and sends them sprawling into the street. As they speed away, the police pass them, but double back in pursuit. Panicking, Clive's driver friend pulls out his own piece and blaps 2 policemen right there in the street. They speed off and leave nothing behind but silence. And
Would anyone like to hear my list of notes for this scene?
Yeah, go for it.
Gladly.
So the one before it says free buses, though. That's nice. That's why I brought up the free buses or not free buses before. Now, for this scene, the first note says turned into Mad Max in the woods. That goes with the wild men running out of the woods. Yeah, I was like, oh, it's Fury Road. Holy shit, Julianne Moore got blasted.
Boy, did she.
And then this thing kicked off real quick.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I've seen it before, and I didn't expect her to get killed.
Yeah. You know it's such a scene, man. Like, and the thing is, it's not even like the big set piece. Like, this is one of the scenes that the film's remembered for, but it's not the big one. But it's like, this scene is what sticks out in my mind about this film. Where, up until this, obviously there was the explosion at the start, which, as I said, like, it's a warning of things to come. And truly, like, all of a sudden, throughout the film, there's just these bursts of anxiety that occur. Like, because it's so, like, obviously, I mean, a bunch of wild men pouring out of the woods is a bit Mad Max, but it's portrayed in such a realistic way. Like, just the panic and the actors all, like, like freaking out and shit like that. They're reversing away. You see them coming at the 2 guys come up with a motorbike, and it's all in real time. And then out of nowhere, she's just dead out like that. Yep. It's just, oh man, it's intense. And the fact that it's all one take as well. Like,
the motorbike crash is so realistic as well.
Oh yeah, like
it looks. I mean, if they probably did crash that fucking bike, I guess.
Well,
that's probably how they've done it.
Yeah, that guy yelling about how Clive Owen killed his cousin, that wasn't an actor. That was Clive Owen actually killed that man.
Showed up on set. Like, what a scene. Like, it just
I never expected Julianne Moore to get killed, because I was like, it's Julianne Moore. She's a very famous actress from Jurassic Park 2. Jurassic Park 2.
She survived Stegosauruses and all sorts.
Yeah, but no, she survived the dinosaurs, but she couldn't survive the 9mm.
Spoiler alert! All right, I know she doesn't die in Jurassic Park 2 now.
I just said she survived the Stegosaurs. So I said there's plenty of dinosaurs.
I said dinosaurs. That's my bad. I've spoiled Jurassic Park 2 now. It's ruined.
Unbelievable.
Kieran was talking about old people, though. He was just being derogatory. He wasn't talking about actual animals.
Yeah. She used to work in a nursing home.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh Christ, we're spiraling out of control again.
No, it's
also,
great.
when he shoots the policeman, like at the bookend, like again, just this like burst of like, oh fucking hell. Like, because it just shows you that, because up until that point, obviously they were the ones. No, they weren't the ones that were responsible for the cafe explosion. But Clive Owen's spoken about, like, how they've done these terrorist acts and that. But ultimately, they've been fairly affable, like, and a bit standoffish. But like, they come across as partly friendly towards Clive at least. But then this guy straight up just murks 2 policemen.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes.
I wonder if they were responsible for it, because remember, there's kind of like a coup.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Like they might have blown up that cafe.
They claim not to have been responsible for that one, but at least, but yeah. Like, and the cops ride up and they're just asking them what's happened and that, and obviously it's quite heated because everything's been going on. But he just like eliminates the issue as he gets out of the car, leaves them lying there. Heavy stuff, man. Heavy stuff. And well, it only gets worse from here. So later in the woods, their older accomplice performs some sort of ritual over Julianne Moore's corpse. Clive drowns his sorrows in the aforementioned bottle of cheap whiskey and goes to light up a king size before breaking down in tears. Once again, not managing to have a cigarette. Eventually, their driver returns with a new car, and they solemnly continue on their journey. They arrive at a farm that the driver assures them is friendly, as the members of the terrorist cell are convened to vote on a new leader. Clive asks for a lift back to London, but he's told it's too dangerous. It's at this point that we start to see that the younger woman from his car pals is being treated with some care, indicating that she's probably the person that the travel permits were for. I'm not sure if that was mentioned
I think it was.
Prior to I must have missed that.
Because in the car he was like, what'd you do? Did you kill somebody? Did you do this? Did you do that? And then Miriam, who's the older woman, was just like, shut up, leave her alone.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was, I suppose, it's implied retroactively, but then like, that's when it's blatantly apparent that this is the lassie that we're talking about here.
I think they did say that, like, this is key, this is who you got the permits for, or something like that.
They might have done, actually. I maybe just misheard because I didn't expect her name to be Key, even though this is the third time I'm seeing this film, and it just sort of like didn't click in my ear.
This is the third time you've seen the movie, and you were asking me who's like what character names were.
Well, I mean, it was more that I just couldn't remember it in the moment. I was just asking you if you knew off the top of your head. Fuck off! Don't try and make me out to be some sort of imbecile. I know
I
what
don't
this
have
is.
to. You do that yourself.
Oh no. Clive is escorted around the farm by Tomasz, the Polish farmer, who's been tasked with watching him. He goes to light up another tab, but has to stub it out as he's summoned to the barn, which Tomasz forbids him from smoking in. Inside, the younger woman is waiting for him, in something of a tiz over how farms cut off cows' tits because milking machines only have room for 4. Now, those are her words, not mine.
Correct.
That's not the reason Clive was brought here, though, as she says that Clive is the only person Julianne Moore had told her to trust. Clive isn't happy about that, but relents when the girl, whose name is Key, reveals to him that she's pregnant, meaning that she most likely carrying the only child in the world. The significance of this should be readily apparent. It's quite a moment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It carries a lot of gravitas. Again, just due to the sheer level of world building on display. That this is it's heavy stuff. You're like, oh shit, your mind starts racing thinking about all the implications of what this means.
Something I really felt with this movie is if they wanted to, they could have made it PG-13 and probably made it a lot more successful in theaters. But instead, what they did, they didn't make the movie around a rating. They made the movie and then just let it have whatever rating it ended up being. And I think that is a very good, that's an apparent strength of this film.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. It's its own vision.
Films that do that always work out way better than something trying to cut and chop things to fit.
Because we were talking about big farts earlier, and a big fart would be this film's performance at the box office.
That's true. Have you got the figures there?
Yeah, it was made for 76 million, and it made 70.
It made 70. I thought it made like 12.
No. So as we've discussed before, perhaps on the podcast, I think what you usually want to do is you take that number 76 that it was made for, and you want to double that usually for marketing. Some films, are made for less and marketed for more, but for this you can assume about 150 million. So 70 is not even close to making its money back.
Catastrophically low figure.
Yeah.
It's bizarre as well because I don't understand why it would have failed. I
don't know what the marketing was like for it.
Yeah,
to be honest,
I was 6.
And I know that I'd never. Yeah, you're a baby. I never saw at the time. I don't remember seeing any marketing for it. I heard of it through someone else.
I remember seeing adverts on the sides of buses. I was too young to see it myself at the time, but was that 2006? Let's think about that. Yeah, it was. Aye, definitely. Yeah, I can't remember it having much of a TV presence in terms of advertising. But even then, though, it's the kind of film where it's like, if somebody went to see it, they'd be like, my God, this is fucking next level. You'd think word of mouth would have done it justice.
But in 2006, word of mouth wasn't as strong as it is today.
Yeah.
Well,
social media today makes spreading by word of mouth a lot more prevalent than it was in 2006.
Aye, that's true. But word of mouth advertising has been about since the dawn of cinema. If a movie's good, then people say, oh, it's a good movie, you should go and see it. It's always been an important part in box office response, at least to a certain extent. Nowadays it's just dramatic
for a lot of people.
To be fair, it is quite a fucking heavy watch.
It is bleak. I don't think it's for everyone.
What was happening in 2006? Maybe it was too depressing a year.
Xbox 360 came out in 2005.
It's the early 2000s, so it couldn't have been that good.
Well, yeah, that's true. Little did we know.
You can keep talking. I can look up 2006 events.
Let's see. What was the last thing? The scene when she's obviously, you see there's a lot of biblical kind of
oh yeah, absolutely,
matches in this. She's her
oh yeah
in the in a barn, a manger or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's
it's a Christmas film.
Yeah, that's all it's all about. Did you notice that nearly all the time, I think all the time, not 100%, but the animals always came 2 by 2, and they ended up going to an ark.
I didn't notice that.
Two kittens climb at his leg. The guy has 2 dogs. Oh, they really like you. The Polish guy, they don't like anyone. All these animals that approach Clive Owen 2 by 2 they're in pairs. And then it ends up with them going to an ark at the end of the thing, and he dies before the boat gets there, so it's just her and one other.
Children of Men is the whole Bible.
And you're like, the flood is the the infertility, and they're getting away to the ark to escape the flood.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, it does make sense. So not only is it a Christmas film, but it's every film. It's a film for every time of the year, except this. It has a baby in it, and the baby might be Jesus,
Maybe.
the Savior, the Messiah. It's quite possible. Elijah, are you still googling what happened in 2006?
Oh, I'm just reading. I mean, generally, you know,
That is a broad fucking Google.
it is. But you know, the
Major
Iraq
events,
War
though.
was in full swing, which isn't exactly a
You
cheerful.
didn't want to be watching Children of Men from your foxhole in Fallujah.
Yeah, no good. No good at all.
Not at all. Not at all. Anyway, that night, one of the cell members shows up with a wounded colleague on the back of a motorbike, and the other members are furious with him, as he could have compromised their entire organisation. Clive walks outside and steps in a puddle wearing only his socks, before hearing that they plan on offing him the next day and transporting the girl themselves. I didn't note it down at the time, but I think this guy is the boy for the motorbike before who clapped Julianne
He
Moore.
is, yeah.
Yes.
So the other boy is the guy who died obviously when Clive kicked the door open. That's why he's so after Clive for the whole fucking film.
Yeah. I didn't pick that up when the watch it. Well, I mean, apparently I didn't pick it up the first time I saw the first times I saw the film either. But like later in the film, it became more apparent. That's just my own idiocy shining through. I mean, I'm sure I probably did pick it up when
I mean,
I
that's
saw the film.
obviously the Suicide Kit was fucking Cluedo or
That's
whatever.
true.
So we all have our moments.
I mean, I did about 8 years since I've last seen the film, so bear with me here, ladies and gentlemen. Before hearing that they're planning on offering him the next day and transporting the girl themselves, so Clive sneaks into Key's room under cover of darkness and convinces her to leave with him immediately. She agrees, along with Miriam, the older woman from before, and they sneak out in the wee hours of the morning, and Clive Owen quite cleverly sabotages all but one of the cell's cars, which they all bundle into before speeding off into the countryside. They nearly get got, as the car's a bit of a shitter and needs a jump start, but thankfully they manage to escape in the nick of time. Another scene that's just raw anxiety for about 4 or 5 minutes of street screen time.
I love the way that starts as well. Like, you never see anything like a film and he takes the time to stop the people chasing him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He went car by car, and you watch the whole thing in real time as he goes car by car, taking keys, taking parts out of the cars to make sure they can't follow him.
Yep.
I love that. It's fantastic.
It's just the relentless atmosphere from it as well. Like, we're like just about getting caught for people walking by and that. And even when they're like driving away and the boy's chasing after them and he points the gun at them at point blank range because they're saying not to shoot because the pregnant girl's in the car.
Yeah.
The guy runs up and points the
He's
gun
like
at him at
asking
point blank.
permission. He's
and
like, "Can I shoot?" He's like,
"Can I
"Okay,
shoot?
take the
Can I
shot."
shoot?" And he manages to it's Key that knocks him with the door and knocks him flying.
He gets
Oh,
the same
man.
treatment twice. Hit by a door a second time.
There you go. You'd think he'd learn his lesson and just avoid back doors of cars, but nah.
Another brief aside: 2000 year in history, 2006. The United States housing bubble and the subprime mortgage crisis were going on, meaning probably no one could afford to go to the movies.
Yeah, that'll do it. Oh, Jesus. What
I'm
a
interested
world
to
we
see
live in.
what the old films and takings would be like this year, with the amount of like people not going to the movies.
Bad,
so much.
awful.
I'm real interested.
The
Yeah,
worst.
they're gonna be.
Shocking, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna
Absolutely
be abysmal.
catastrophic.
I mean, how many movies actually released this year in
Not
theaters?
many.
Tenet
Not many.
and some stinkers.
Tenet, yeah.
Did Monster Hunter come out in the movies? Let's see there.
Monster Hunter,
What?
Monster Hunter.
That'll
Next
come under the stinkers.
We
So
need to
technically, you didn't
stop
mention that.
mentioning Monster Hunter every week.
Yeah, it's another fucking Paul W.S. Anderson
I know.
with Mila Jovovich.
Hello and welcome to the Paul W.S. Anderson podcast.
I'm gonna get a whiteboard and put it up next to my desk with words that we have to bleep on the podcast, and Paul W.S. Anderson is gonna be the first one on that list.
Right next to
Oh, why'd you do that?
Because last week we mentioned that Alex Salmond was a.
Oh no!
more or less just for the bleep
Alleged.
gag, really.
Alleged.
Oh God. This is
My
it. This
goal
it.
is to get to episode 100 without me saying anything that needs to be bleeped.
Oh well, challenge accepted. There.
I think this is my first time. So
I'm the
so
one that
it's all right.
edits the podcast.
Everybody gets one.
Bear that in mind.
No, I mean,
Now I'm gonna every time you speak, I'm gonna censor a word to make it sound like you're saying things that are
No.
really offensive.
no, don't do it. And he's gonna cut this to make nobody know that it's happening.
Exactly. See, I'm the maniacal ruler of the pod.
Bastard.
Anyway, moving on. Clive opts to take the squad to Michael Caine's house. He has a moment where he thinks Michael Caine's topped himself as he's out cold with a suicide kit nearby, but it's okay, he was dead asleep and he claims to have ordered it to kill rats, which he maintains is quite peaceful for them. They have breakfast and we see that Michael Caine has generously loaned Clive a pair of old split sandals, as he spent the entirety of the previous scene in his socks. Owen and Key have a bonding moment and he asks about her child. She has no idea who the father is and has even less of an idea about what pregnancy is like. She wants to call the baby Froley. Michael Caine arrives at the house in his car and he says he has a cunning plan, that they all simply get arrested and then a friend on the inside will slip them onto a boat.
Couple things from what you just read. First of all, do you guys call them split sandals?
I couldn't remember the term at the
I just
time.
call them
and
flip-flops.
I call them flip-flops too.
Australians call them thongs.
Yeah.
I've heard that expression before somewhere.
I've never heard split sandal in my life.
Listen, I might have just
That
farted
sounds like
out
something
my
a
brain.
Ninja Turtle would wear, mate.
I don't know if it is, to be honest. But it's nearly Christmas. It's nearly Christmas, and I'm excited.
You're overwhelmed with
Split
the spirit
sandal.
of Christmas.
Yeah, I'm festive. I'm too festive. All I can think of is cinnamon.
I fucking love cinnamon. I'll get you
I
that.
don't mind cinnamon.
Should cinnamon. All I can think of is and then beep it.
He's gonna cut. I fucking love cinnamon. I'll get you that.
That would be pretty
No,
funny.
don't actually.
No, I
We can't You gotta save it. It's the bleep is special.
I could bleep the first time and then not bleep when you say you should bleep cinnamon.
Oh,
I'm
Yeah.
not going to do either of those things.
no,
It'd take
it's too much
long.
effort. And then
I might do it.
secondly,
Funny.
Clive Owen, kind of a dick. Like, this woman's having her baby, and he's like, Froley. What a dumbass name for a dumbass baby.
I mean, that's true though.
I mean, I think it was just a bit light-hearted banter.
I'd tell her straight out. Don't call that fucking thing Froley.
Dumbass name for a dumbass baby.
I don't think even remotely says that. I just think it's just like he's like, for the first baby in 18 years, you want to call it a Froley. I think that's all he says.
I'd be like, I call my baby whatever the hell I want. Your name's Theo.
That's true. His name is Theo. Yeah, for ladies and gentlemen at home, if you haven't watched the film, his name's Theo. It's not Clive Owen. Clive Owen is the actor, you see.
If you're listening to this podcast, you must know at this point that we're never going to call characters by their names unless we don't know the actor's name.
That's true.
And then
And
we
even
might
then-
just call them something else.
Even then,
Go back and forth.
like,
I'm going to
we
call
might-
him Theo for the rest of the podcast.
That's true. To be fair, I did call the real villain a Wonder Woman.
Just make a point.
Professor Lupin from Harry Potter the entire way through.
Right,
That's
exactly.
That's a bit of a leap. I mean, it's not really. It's Professor
all.
Lupin for Harry Potter.
Everyone, if you've seen Wonder Woman, you know who we're talking about.
If you've
Yeah,
seen
really
Wonder
is.
Woman, then you must know you're Harry Potter.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all
Like,
wizards.
I've lost
isn't
my
it?
place, boys. I've lost my place.
We were talking about...
That night, I've got it. Don't worry. Shut up. I'm ready. that night, Michael Caine entertains the ladies with his cannabis and banter, while Clive fills up his half bottle from a full bottle in the foreground. Michael tells them about how Clive Owen and Julianne Moore once had a child, but his unfortunate death led to Clive Owen being the faithless state. being in the faithless.
Cannabis and banter is sorrowful stories about a child's
no,
death.
What an opener, eh? His unfortunate death led to Clive Owen being in the faithless state that he finds himself in now. It is quite a dour story for him to drop on them like that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
it fucking
it's
is.
to this pregnant lassie. It's like, oh, here the child, but then it died.
Also, I don't know if you should be smoking weed around a pregnant woman.
I mean, it's the end of the world, eh?
Yeah, the baby's kind of important.
Nah, it's just one baby though.
It's the only baby.
The only baby.
The whole point of this film, it's just one baby.
It's just a bit of the green.
Get
eh?
another one.
It'll be
If
alright.
anything, we've learned that she can get pregnant again. Huh?
It's true. That is the implication, which is
Yeah.
what makes the end of the film quite
And
grim.
the fact that she has a little girl, meaning that girl's probably
Yeah.
also able to have children.
Yeah,
so
but
it's a
we'll get
hopeful
to
ending.
that. We will tentatively get to that when it
My
comes to it.
apologies.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm upset now.
Yeah, me too.
Grant's he's committed to the rest of the podcast, but he is doing it under protest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's how we even got him here today.
I'm stamping my foot, but I'm doing it just above the ground so it doesn't, pick up the audio.
Yeah.
Well, you
it's-
see,
otherwise,
he
God,
offered.
That'd be an absolute audio clusterfuck.
He offered to come on, and then he tried to back out, but he had already offered, so we dragged him in anyway.
Yeah, I've got a fucking screaming headache, but I'm doing it.
You'll be fine. Don't
That's
worry.
commitment.
We're about a third of the way through.
Commitment to no.
Probably
We've been
more
talking
than
for an
that.
hour.
More
No,
than
we're
that.
nearly done.
I'm
This is going to be
only
a shorter
joking.
The
one.
film's
for
only
everyone to
fucking,
listen to on
109
Christmas.
minutes?
Yeah. Yeah,
Minus
we'll be
15
alright.
minutes credit.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Feeling introspective, Clive opts to hit the hay, but he's awoken by Michael Caine's cacophonous noise-core intruder alarm as the terrorist. I'm fucking this one royally.
I
Hang
thought
on.
you were calling him a fucking Canuck. I was like, what?
Let's start that one again. This whole bit gets cut out. Feeling introspective, Clive opts to hit the hay, but he's awoken by Michael Caine's cacophonous noise-core intruder alarm as the terrorists have shown up, and they're after the girl. Rushing to the car, Michael Caine reveals to Clive that he won't be coming with them, as he needs to stay and care for his wife, instead giving him instructions as to what to do and where to go, as well as reminding him to tell the inside man friend of his that he's a fascist pig. Owen and co speed off in the car, and Michael Caine returns to the house, sharing a tender moment with his wife before opening his suicide kit and implicitly using it on her and the dog off-screen.
Oh,
Yep.
awful.
Stop it. Yeah.
The most grim part of this movie by a mile and a half.
Aye.
Right, but he goes out saying, pull my finger, you know what I mean?
Well,
What a
we'll
guy.
get into that.
Love
Stopping
him.
nearby, Clive observes from afar as the terrorists show up and shoot Michael Caine dead on his front porch. It takes 3 bullets because Caine is 300% lad. Clive storms away, demanding of Miriam how this could possibly be justified under their group's doctrine, for which she only has meagre answers. Aye, as you say, he goes out asking them to pull his fucking finger, does a big fart. He probably did do a big fart as they shot him, to be fair.
It's probably why they shot him the third time. Oh, fucking hell. Maybe I can plug it up if I get the right angle.
Get that away from me. Aye, sad scene.
That was the
Poor
bit
Michael Caine.
that the gunshots were really like, you could hear them like echo through the woods.
Aye, I
Yeah,
jumped.
afterwards.
it's well done.
I
Good
was
sound
typing
design,
at the
for
time
sure.
and I went, oh, a gunshot.
If you look down, have I been shot?
I know, that was it. Happens all the time.
Did we find out what happened to his wife?
Well,
Yeah,
he
he
said
suicide
that-
pilled her.
Yeah, as the
No.
terrorist,
Why she was like
I think
that?
she was
Why
just
she was like
elderly. She had a stroke or something like that.
she just
yeah.
had like really bad dementia or something. Okay.
Yeah, maybe something like that. It wasn't.
Alright,
it
fair
wasn't
enough.
stated, but I think it's just from some medical issue.
Just
Something like
general for general sadness inducing.
Lack of pregnancy.
I was saying you got a really strong fucking weed. Just
Yeah.
gave her fucking a hell of a blunt one day, and she's just like,
And she
oh,
just
she's
never came
catatonic.
back.
She's just been there the whole time. She's in the weed hole.
He was
Yeah.
like, this one's called catatonic Kush. Oh no.
Oh no. Not again.
Should have given her the strawberry cough.
Right. Maybe that's why he still grows the cannabis. He's trying to find the miracle strain that will cure his wife of her catatonia. Later, the team awake from their rest in the car, parked next to a primary school that has a statue of a dinosaur next to it. Coolest primary school going. Like, imagine flexing that to all the other schools. Jesus, they wouldn't have anything to say. Having a wander about, Clive Owen is startled by a passing deer before he observes Kia having a sing-song on the swings outside.
Key, not Kia.
Key. I put Kia. I knew I would do that at least once.
Also,
Kia's a brand of car.
I would have shit my pants if a deer walked through a hallway in front of me.
Aye.
Scared of deer.
No, but like, just yeah. Would you be expecting a deer walking through the school, man?
I guess not.
Fuck's sake.
Oof.
I scared a deer.
Scared of deer.
I did an oh dear there, by the way. I'm just pointing out my joke there. Oh
Oh.
dear.
Thanks.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I couldn't let that go.
Yeah.
Couldn't let that go. Nobody
Okay.
said nothing.
Very good.
It was my moment.
Miriam opts to tell Clive about her past as a nurse in an antenatal clinic that she worked in when the calamity occurred. All of a sudden, there were tons of miscarriages and then no new babies. Outlining that, as the presence of children left the world, so too did humanity's hope for the future. Their tender moment is interrupted by the sounds of approaching sirens, however, and the three of them walk out to find a military-style jeep with an automated turret on top. Upon telling the driver that he's a fascist pig, he exits and does a little fake-out with a baton before bringing the team into the truck. Sid,
I wrote down
which is
that
his name.
that he's so lucky that was actually Sid.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. Like,
Yeah. I thought that's where they were meeting him, though. So I thought maybe that's where I
Ah,
guessed.
true,
I'm
true.
sure it was, but still.
Also, why does Sid always refer to himself in the third person?
I was
because he's a
wondering
fucking
that as well, 'cause
lunatic,
he's a
man.
Is that it? He's
madman.
just that's it. He's just a fucking. How do we make someone a nutcase? What characteristic do we give him when he fucking talks to
Speaks
himself
in
in
the
the
third
third person?
person, yeah.
That's it.
Like,
I'll do it.
he is good, to be fair. I like Sid as
Yeah,
as a
it's good writing.
dirty
Crap.
bastard.
as a person, Kieran likes Sid
Yeah,
as
as
a
a
person. He
person,
wishes
yes.
he could be Sid when he grows up.
someday. when the world ends, that'll be me.
get
Jumping about. And
Bashed to
causing
death by a car
I'll get
battery.
beaten to death with a car battery. Yeah,
Ooh,
spoiler.
they are so heavy.
They are really heavy.
Picked up
I
a
don't know
car
how you
battery.
could even swing one like that.
Well, he doesn't really swing it. He just we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll get to that. Sid spends some time being distinctly daft and Scottish, as well as referring to himself in the third person, while Key tries to hide her contractions in the back seat. They arrive at a checkpoint, and Sid instructs them on where to go and who to meet before they head off into the crowd of refugees. I was going to jump back and mention something, but oh yeah, it was when he comes out with a baton and like does the fake out. The film loves doing that to the viewer. Where those wee things where they make you think one thing. This is one of the more obvious examples, but they do it later on with the baby, for example, where it's like as he gives birth. The whole way through, the first time I watched that, I was like, oh my god, it's going to be stillborn.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
These it without saying anything, it just puts these little ideas into your head and makes you like it's just really good at it the whole way through. This is
One of my very early notes is the baby's gonna die, isn't it?
But you might have been wrong. We'll see. We'll see. After a word from our spot. Nah, not yet.
Oh, soon.
Not yet. Someday. The group bundle into a bus full of tired, sad and hungry migrants that heads off once more into the countryside. Miriam reveals that her group have never actually spoken to anyone from their final contacts, who operate through a series of middlemen to make contact with insurgent groups. Clive is somewhat perturbed by this. The bus arrives in a port town by nightfall. At that point, Key's water breaks. The border officials march in, slap some people about and drag Miriam off the bus, leaving Clive and Key alone together as it heads on to its next stop. That bit's pretty heavy when they drag Miriam away and you just never see her again.
Brutal.
Like, that's raw, man. Real shit. As they arrive at a border checkpoint further down the line, the two are separated as they pass through a turnstile. Thankfully, Clive only has to warn off a couple of wayward gentlemen before the pair are reunited, and shortly after they find their contact by a statue at the centre of the square. She tuk-tuks them away into a squat somewhere in town, and it becomes apparent that Key's water was being pretty serious when it broke. Their guide speaks incessantly in a language that Clive Owen blatantly doesn't understand, but he manages to ward her off with a spare cigarette. Key is having what can delicately be described as the mother of all shitmares, so Clive decides to do his best to take a swing at delivering the baby himself.
Barking.
That's alright, don't worry about it.
You've got something to say as well.
Yeah. To his credit, he seems to do a pretty solid job of it, as the baby comes out in a matter of minutes. It's a girl, she cries and everything, and in that moment, there is hope. I love this, don't worry about your dogs, by the way, I'll just flatten the background noise in between.
Oh, you can
Like-
flatten fucking someone stomping up down my hallway going doo 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 doo, singing some fucking song.
If we need it, I'll flatten it out.
Jesus Christ.
I love
Someone's getting axe kicked.
I love this coastal town that's basically just been made into like a sort of DMZ for illegal migrants.
It's like Arkham City, man.
Yeah, it's exactly
Yeah.
like that. Like where they just put them in there and leave them until something happens in the future. They don't know what to do with them either. I think it's such a cool, like, I mean, obviously not cool in the like, oh, radical man, cool in the sort of,
Oh, sick, dude.
yeah,
World
it's like,
building kind of
whoa.
way.
In the world building sort of way. Like, I
Like
think it's
everyone,
really
like,
fascinating.
there's these different sects that just march around with AKs and flags. Like, there's the Muslims, there's the French, there's the whoever.
Yeah. The French also peel and feed oranges to Key.
That's true. Although orange is actually, it's meant to be.
Is it good for it?
It's symbolism, like in the Godfather, how oranges, they always come up at moments followed by violence. It's the same in this film. Miriam has an orange in the back of the car before what's her name gets shot in the throat, and then here she has an orange before it all goes to fucking hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, catastrophically wrong.
Is that why the Clockwork
Catastrophically.
Orange is called the Clockwork Orange?
Because-
like, like clockwork, the orange, and then she kicks off.
I,
Look, I'm tired. I've got a headache. I'm just
alright,
speculating.
don't
I'm
worry
bringing
about
some
it.
flavour.
Keep
It
it
could be
going,
why the
keep it going.
Clockwork Orange is called. Like nobody else can tell me what it means.
I mean, I can
I
Google
don't
it
think
right
anybody
now.
can. Stop it. Stop googling things.
I mean, I probably could if I watched it again.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Clockwork Orange since I was like 14. Probably shouldn't have watched it.
No, probably not.
No, probably not. I mean, I probably saw it
fine.
about the same age because it's like it's that point in time where kids were out fucking shagging and injecting, and that Clockwork Orange was the least of my concerns.
Kieran was born in a fucking DMZ, but that sounds
Might as well have been. Like,
Fucking shagging and injecting.
well, that
Other
was
Kieran
injecting.
probably was.
Yeah, other Kieran, he was sniffing. Well, I didn't want to be getting into. He isn't here to defend himself.
I just think because he lives in Glasgow.
Oh well, yeah, true. It might as well be a DMZ. Shots he lives in, outside of Glasgow.
Whatever. I'm not getting picky.
Well, we're professionals here. We've got to be as specific as possible.
Yeah, just tell him exactly where he lives. What's his address?
Tell him exactly. He lives at Kenneth's address. The following morning, the pair are walking by Sid, the friendly government man from before, banging and rattling on the door. He's disguised as some kind of mujahideen, and he says that a few hours previous a bomb blew a hole in the fence and there's refugees everywhere. He lets the pair know that the army are on the way to shoot the shit out of everything, but assures them that they are safe with him. He finds out that there's a baby in the room and forces the pair out at gunpoint. I put pair, but I should have put trio because the baby is a person too. Actually, there's 4 of them because they've got the lassie from before who doesn't speak English, but that's by the by.
Marisa.
Haven't seen the pair on TV. Haven't seen the trio. No, it would be pair if he saw them on TV the day before. The baby wasn't there yet. Haven't seen the pair on TV the day before. And now, having seen the baby, he figures out that the pair are worth more to him as hostages. Thankfully, the foreign-speaking lady from before knocks Sid over and batters him bloody with a big stick. They narrowly escape into the street, and Clive Owen brains Sid with a car battery. That's probably the most gruesome bit of the film, when he just drops the car battery on his head, man. Like, that's a way to kill a man right there. Jesus Christ.
It would definitely do it.
Absolutely.
I mean, Marisa sits about him with fucking, what is that, a log
It's
or
like
a
a
big bone?
dinosaur bone.
Yeah, I was like, when I thought it was a bone, I was like, where did you get that bone? From what?
Oh, I've been eating horses and shit. It's the Wild West.
Literally.
No, they're burning the horses, remember?
Oh, yeah,
There's just piles of burned horses out in the fields.
I thought they were cows. Either or, to be honest, doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, that another fucking grim. The burnt horses, man. Can't he afford to
Wonder why.
feed them?
Fucking foot and mouth again, I guess.
Maybe they were kicking off.
Foot and mouth.
Piles of burnt horses. Ah, yes, the piles of burnt horses that I remember from 1999 or whenever the foot and mouth epidemic was. It's like a fucking Baghdad car park.
Look, I'm the old one here. I remember the pile of burnt horses.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you do.
Yeah, we were all
aye.
throwing everyone just came in and threw their horse in the fire. Everyone just took part.
Grant's
You could get them.
256
You
years
could
old.
just go to a wee man on the side of the road and spy like a nice bucket of horses to
wee
chuck
man.
on the fire.
The wee man. That 5 foot
The horse
3.
seller. Yeah.
The horseman.
That's why they sell horse chestnuts now. It's in memory of that. It's like a placeholder.
What the fuck are you talking
Are you
about?
drunk?
I'm tired. And no one eats horse chestnuts. Are horse chestnuts not just conkers? Are they not poisonous?
What
not
is
a
a
Christmas
horse
thing?
chestnut?
It's a Christmas thing, is it? No, chestnuts by an open fire.
Yeah,
Is it no
yeah,
horse
chestnuts are. That's
We've
the
tied
joke I
it
was
back,
making.
boys. We're back. We're back with a Christmas patter. We've
That
done
was,
it.
that was the joke. It's like chestnuts, but horse chestnuts are a type of chestnut.
So
But I think
you
they're really
took-
poisonous.
You went from chestnuts roasting over an open fire, right? Chestnut, horse chestnut, horses roasted in a field. Jesus Christ, man.
Foot and
Fucking-
mouth.
Foot and mouth. My friend used to say it, but used to be like, he'd say
Good
foot
foot
and
and
mouth.
mouth.
He'd say, fuck me, I can't get this out. He'd say foot and mouth, and then he'd put his foot in your mouth.
It's fucking horrible.
I'm losing it, man. This is a mess.
You say
Oh.
foot and mouth, I say how high.
That's it. Just says the word foot and mouth, and then in it goes. That's the warning. That's horrific. Oh, no. I wouldn't have that.
Fucking hell.
I wouldn't have that at all.
It's like
the same
Home
as
Alone
spit
in
on me.
here, boys.
Oh,
God, we need to
I need
remind,
an adult. I
we
need
need
an
to remind
adult.
Robbie and Kieran not to leave us on our own again,
Oh,
man.
no,
this
this
is an
is the
absolute
best.
nightmare.
Oh my
Nobody
god.
wants to listen to this.
What do
shit.
you mean? This is the best.
I'll listen to it. No one else does.
I mean, to be fair, like, we are laughing at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can just
Oh.
crack this on later, just not to feel alone, you know.
Oh, right. Compose ourselves. Back to the. The streets are awash with the sounds of insurgency. Armed militiamen march through the town in defiance against the tyrannical British rule. The friendly lady escorts Clive and Key to a shady building, where they're taken in by a friendly bearded man. A lady inside eats an orange. As a big fella comes up, hands pair of Clive Clive a
Pair of
pair-
shoes.
Clive
He says, "Clear a pair of
fuck.
shoes."
hands Clive a pair of shoes and tells him a boat will be ready in an hour. All the while, militiamen sneak around on rooftops above an armoured column. And so begins the best scene in the movie. Clive and co are escorted through the streets by the big fella from before, as literal open-armed conflict occurs around them. It's not long before they're caught by the terrorist cell from earlier, who've managed to somehow track them down across half the country. This is easily the least realistic part of the film. They take Key away and execute the escort man, but before they can do Clive, the military engage them with small arms from a short distance away. Clive and co slink away, darting from cover to cover as the army exchange fire with terrorists and militia alike. What are you laughing at?
Sorry, it's just me being stupid. Military engage them with small arms. Imagine all these people with small arms.
Oh, grand! Awful.
Sorry, I couldn't. I tried not to laugh. I was in there. I couldn't get it out.
Fine.
They're infertile and they have tiny T-Rex arms.
Little tiny arms. Fuck me,
Oh,
man. Clive and co slink away, darting from cover to cover as the army exchange fire with terrorists and militia alike. Clive pursues the terrorists to a large abandoned building, which comes under fire from a full-on tank. The army fire into a group of surrendering refugees, and Clive manages to dart into the building during the commotion. He makes his way upstairs, past equal measures of cowering refugees and people with various limbs missing. One of the main terrorist guys opts to engage a tank with an assault rifle from a window and promptly receives a clap-in for his trouble. Following the sounds of the crying infant, Clive manages to reunite with Key, and the pair manage to escape, but not before Luke, the only other named terrorist present, gets obliterated by a tank shell. It's worth mentioning that this entire sequence was all one take, only ending as the sheltering refugees look on at Key and her child in hope. Even as they fall from stray gunfire, the survivors stare in awe. Even the army move to let them pass as they storm the building.
I'm gonna be honest, I did not notice that it was only one take.
Aye, the whole thing.
yeah.
From the moment it starts with them going through the streets with the guy before the terrorists like rumble them. From the moment that bit starts, right up until the scene where they're all like crowding around them as they go through the corridor,
Wow.
it's all one take, start to finish.
That's really impressive.
Aye, man, it's definitely in contention for the best shot of all time. Like if there was an award, like what a fucking cameraman they had, by the way.
I know, right?
Like Jesus Christ, he should
We
get
should do a
fucking medal. We should
That'll
get him
have
on.
to- we should. Yeah, I was gonna say that should be an article. Someone
Yeah,
should get
could
on
do it.
writing that.
Aye.
One shot or one take, action sequences. There's plenty of them.
Hashtag
Don't
one
think that's a good
perfect
one.
shot.
The old boy hammer scene. That's one take, isn't it?
That is one take. That is a good one take. Like,
Atomic Blonde,
the-
the stairwell fight.
I haven't
Never-
seen
never
Atomic
watched that.
Blonde, but
Oh.
I've heard it's good.
Get on it.
Daredevil stairwell fight.
Yeah.
I mean corridor
Yeah.
fight, but then that's based on the old boy fight. so
Yeah,
the old
yeah.
boy fight gets it.
Daredevil done that quite a bit though. Big long takes.
Yeah,
in
it
its,
did.
in its
I had one in
action
the
scene.
prison.
I should
Raid does that
mention
too,
we are
yeah.
talking about the TV show. We're not talking about the.
Not the
Yeah,
Ben
we're talking about
Affleck
fucking
movie.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck one.
I don't think that. I didn't think there was a shot in that film that lasted longer than about 4 seconds.
Have you seen
Probably
Old Boy, Elijah?
I have not.
Oh,
There's
man.
one.
There's a good shout
Yeah.
for content right there. That's a belter. Well, either way, we'll put that one down on the list. Even the army moved to let them pass as they stormed the building. Maybe they should have gone public with the child, as it turns out. Yeah, that the bit at the end could have been really goofy when they're walking through and all the like refugees are like standing around them and trying to touch the lassie in the burn, and it's just like this big hopeful moment.
Yeah.
Like with the army, even the army are like, oh my fucking god, like there's
Mary
a
and
baby.
Jesus.
But it's like it really lands, and I mean I don't mean to be a broken record, but it's because of all the world building all the way through. It makes
Yeah,
you believe in the
exactly.
significance of the child. But it's like the army,
Oh, yeah.
as they storm this building to kill terrorists, are just like, wait a fucking minute, is that what
Yeah.
I think it is? Like it's the payoff to an unparalleled amount of setup.
Yep.
Yeah.
They earned it.
And it's another big. That's the most obvious Mary and Jesus kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
definitely
Yeah.
as well. Yeah,
And fucking Theo being there, and it's literally Joseph, who is not Jesus' dad.
Right.
So
Yep.
hear
you
me out,
know what I
boys.
mean? Just
Theo,
literally.
right?
Yeah, big Theo.
Theocracy.
Theodore
Theocratic.
Huxtable.
There you go.
Damn.
He's done it. He's done
Yeah,
it, boys.
we've done it.
Christmas
It's fucking
is saved.
snap.
Anyway, the trio managed to escape escape
Hold
the
on a
body of the...
minute.
You want
This
the
whole
fucking
movie
dance
is about the war on Christmas.
back? Oh! He's done
Fuck
it!
Starbucks and their happy holidays. It's Christmas.
X-Files theme.mp3. The trio managed to escape the body of the fighting and finally find themselves a boat in the underway of a water treatment plant. It's literally a rowboat, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. They row out to a lit up buoy. That's buoy, not a boy, just floating in the sea.
Yeah, that really bothered me.
What?
Buoy.
But we don't
Buoy.
call them buoys. We call them boys.
We call them boys.
It's a buoy.
because they're buoyant.
No, it's a
you say
boy.
Did you say
Boy.
buoyancy?
Buoyancy.
It's buoyancy.
No,
Oh,
but
hey,
it's
guys.
pronounced a buoy.
He floats in the
Pronounced a
God,
boy.
Boy, am
Look,
I
make
glad
your own
I'm
language and
glad
then tell
I'm
us how it's
buoyant.
pronounced.
No,
We made the language.
no.
It's boy.
Buoy, boy, regardless, that's what we're talking about.
Buoyancy.
We're not talking about a young lad floating in the ocean.
A
They
lit
row
up
out to a
lanyard.
lit up buoy boy, where Clive laments about what a hell of a day the two of them have had. Several jets pass and we see explosions in the distant fog. Really good shot that, I quite enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
I like that
Like,
too.
Key panics as there's blood all over the floor of the boat, but Clive tells her not to be alarmed as it's his blood, as he's been shot by one of the terrorists during their escape. I think that was...
I think it was
It was
Luke.
Chiwetel. It was
Luke guy.
Chiwetel.
Yeah, Luke just claps him as he's running away.
No, there's another biblical name there.
Yeah.
Oh.
He takes the time to tutor her on how to comfort a child, and Key decides to name her baby Dylan, as this was the name of Clive's child back in the day. I didn't actually verify that, I just assumed.
It is.
Like,
It is.
yeah, it was.
Yes, that is correct.
And it's also a girl's name as well. And then
Yeah.
Clive just straight up dies. Key sees boat lights in the distance, and their contacts arrive. The future of Key is left uncertain, but at least she's free from British rule. And then the film ends. Pretty grim ending.
Nah,
Really,
I like the ending.
when you think about it.
I think it's quite hopeful compared
Yeah.
to the
I mean,
rest of it.
it's hopeful in the sense that her and the child didn't die, like,
Yeah.
but
and she got found by the people who are the supposed human project.
Aye,
Well, if
but
it is them,
what
but
life?
I'm pretty sure it's them.
What life will she lead?
But think, right? Like, these guys are around. Maybe she's not the only one. Like, they could be gathering
Yeah,
people
maybe
from
not,
all
yeah.
over the world.
But I mean, there's going to
Maybe.
be a hell of a lot of repopulation to do, and if she's the only lassie that can harbour
Oh yeah,
children,
a boat full of fucking horny seamen,
Ugh.
and they're seamen.
It's uncomfortable implications if you choose to take it that way. And I think the film kind of wants you to take it.
I don't think
But
that's
I
true
think
at
maybe I think they're more looking for like a cure to the dry
Aye.
womb.
Still though, the dry,
Dry
womb.
womb.
Did you just say the dry womb?
Yeah, or whatever.
Oh god.
All right, overly
it's-
damp womb. I don't care.
Oh man, stop. Stop it. Just go to sleep, mate.
I think that it is a hopeful ending. I didn't take it.
I think it's hopeful.
I mean,
too.
it's
I think
hopeful in
it's
the
hopeful.
grand scheme of things. That's the sort of like dichotomy there. But it's like she might have one hell of a life ahead of her, but like ultimately she might have saved the human race at the same
Exactly.
time. Like it's it's just that. It's another just makes you think. The whole film just makes you think all the way through.
And her baby, because it's a woman, has a chance to be a non-barren woman,
Right.
which I think is kind of the point. Like if it was a guy, it's just like she would still be the only woman who can have a kid, and that guy is useless.
Yeah.
It would have to be a girl to actually be useful.
Aye, potentially to be useful. Like
Yeah, well,
oh,
you know.
no.
What I'm getting here,
Useful
Grant,
in
is
the-
that you
in
think
the
women
context.
have to have kids to be useful.
No, I think women are. I mean, this is the opposite of fucking old China. You know what I mean?
What?
No one's
Oh,
chucking away.
no, we can't
no
be
one's
talking about
We're
China.
not chucking away fucking the lady children. We're chucking away the
True,
boys
they
now.
did do that. They did do that.
Like fucking chicks. You know when they get in like
throwing the baby out with the
factories of chicks.
bathwater.
Yeah.
Literally.
Anyway, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I mean, it's just one of the best. Like, I would say post-apocalyptic. It's not really. It's pre-apocalyptic.
Dystopian.
Dystopian pre-apocalyptic. It's just one of the best, isn't it? Like, it's a
Absolutely.
quality bit of filmmaking. Like,
Yeah.
criminally
I love
underrated
it.
in its time.
It's such a more subtle decline of the world compared to like every other story about the world ending.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's,
Yeah.
as I said before, people still have the 9 to 5s, but it's terrible.
Yeah.
People still having to go to work on their buses, and it's terrible, and their family is terrible, and everyone's poor, and there's concentration camps, and these small pockets of super rich people with their fucking zebras and camels.
Yep.
But it's
Yeah.
not all like a meteor's on the way, or it's Mad Max and there's no water already.
Right.
It's just
Not
a
with a
slow,
bang.
grim decline, which is how humanity's probably gonna go.
Yeah.
We're gonna get sick, and we're gonna go.
It's just plausible. Just
Yeah,
especially in
it's-
the current age when you're watching it, like when we've been locked in our houses for the past like year and a half
I
or whatever
fucking
it's
love
been.
it.
Since.
Yeah. Coming up on what, like 8 months?
Yeah, it's so plausible an end of the world scenario. Even if it's like, I mean, there's just some mysterious reason that everybody not in a like it doesn't explain why everybody's sterile, but like it's just the portrayal of the descent of society into anarchy effectively
Yeah.
it's just so real. Like, or at least it feels so real. Like, again, it's
Right.
not quite that bad yet.
No.
Right. But
No,
fingers
not
crossed,
yet.
boys. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully we're on the other side of it.
Hmm.
I said
Nah.
hopefully, Grant.
Hmm.
There's vaccines.
I guess.
Mm.
We got anything else to add to that, or are we about ready to wrap up?
I think I'm good. Like I said earlier, I had I really liked this movie. I had no complaints whatsoever. Like, no criticisms. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's an absolutely excellent
Stellar
film.
movie. One of my favourites.
Yeah, I'm never watching it thinking. Yeah, like Elijah said, there's nothing really to complain about. It's hard to think of anything bad. Like, you're trying to. It feels like I'm trying to be critical for the sake of it, but
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with it.
Yep, you really need to work hard to find anything to pull apart.
And that's
Right.
there's not many movies that I could say that about.
Definitely. Definitely. All right.
Hmm.
On that note, I reckon it's time to wrap up then. Thank you
I'd say
very
so.
much for listening. We've been the Council of Zoom podcast. You can find us at Council of Zoom. Myself personally at GDWKRUN, GDW Krun. Elijah.
I'm at eorton7 ORTON.
And you won't be able to find Grant anywhere on the internet, so don't
you won't
bother
find me. I'll
trying.
find you.
Redirect your comments to your own arse. Thanks very much for listening. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you're celebrating. Even if you're not celebrating at all, just try not to kill yourself.
Yep. Everyone stay safe and enjoy your enjoy your time off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
if it is time off when you're not jobless.
Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Don't make it. Wait, this is a Children of Men podcast. We don't end bleak.
Ho,
I think
ho.
next week I'm gonna try to bully the guys into doing something a little more fun. So
Merry
old boy.
Christmas.
I said
To
more
be fair,
fun.
Old Boy might be way more bleak
I
than this
said
film.
more
I'm going to
fun.
put that out there. Old Boy is way more bleak than this film. Kieran. I'm
It's
putting it out there.
definitely.
That's why I'm thinking Big Trouble in Little China.
Definitely an option. We'll put that one on the list,
Mm-hmm.
but like we'll have to confer. But
Absolutely.
I'm not for that. I haven't seen that before. Anyway, take care. Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.